You're listening to Lyfe and Shyt. I'm Daneyel Walker.
And I'm Tommy Walker.
Join us as we talk about our journey overcoming fears, boundaries, marriage, family, lifestyle, business, and whatever other shit you can think of.
We're individuals that came together to create one unit with one mind and one goal.
What's up, baby?
Gotta fix my hair. That's what's up. How I look.
Looks good.
Look at the people. How do I look?
People. How do you look? You look good, baby.
Thank you very much.
You look real good.
How you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
We just had an interesting conversation with our producer. We're trying to get him to write a book. He procrastinated on it, but one day,
good stories.
Yeah, one day we're gonna get it on there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mind pushing that book out because his
true.
story is fucking amazing.
Yeah, it is.
His whole life is just amazing.
Yeah, it is.
So shout out to Michael Taylor. Thank you.
We'll make it if he wants it fiction, that would be fun too. We could throw some shit in there.
Yeah. Fiction with some true events.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Michael Taylor. Love you, brother. Appreciate everything that you do for us and giving us this platform that we could come and record and introducing us to all this cool stuff.
Yep. Love it.
Thank you.
Appreciate you so much.
So you got a question for me or should I hit you?
I think you were asking the question.
Yeah, because this is one of the ones that I think a lot of fellas wouldn't mind hearing the truth about.
Oh, do they really want to hear the truth about it?
Yeah, 1,000%. Because I know, me personally, I'm a very I think very was the wrong word, but I don't mind.
What's the right word?
I don't mind knowing what I don't know, and I don't mind asking. Right?
Yeah, this is true.
Because I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'll be the first one to say I have no idea. I'm never the one to feel like, oh, I know everything.
All right.
So why is it so hard for women to have an orgasm?
Oh, female orgasm, is that what we're talking about today?
Yeah. Why is it? Why now? When we talking, we speak in general, right? Because some women will say, well, I don't have a problem with orgasm, but then we have a lot of friends that have never orgasmed. Mm-hmm. So then when I talk to some of my guy friends, I don't even think they understand if a woman, and of course, most men, we probably lie. Like, oh yeah, she had an orgasm. Mm-hmm. How you know?
They don't know. Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. So first off, ladies and gentlemen, we're going grown and sexy tonight. Okay, so just want to let you know, this is gonna be we're gonna get into the nitty and the gritty. And the question was, why is it so hard for women to orgasm? It's because we do it in so many different ways. There's so many ways for a woman to orgasm. Like, do you know what is the definition of a male orgasm? Just an orgasm? Like, is there another way? I mean, men can anally orgasm, right? And then that's it. And then regular orgasm, no?
Well, first of all, I don't know. I just said.
I'll be very honest. No, I'm talking about men.
Yeah.
I'm talking about you.
Never had an anal orgasm.
Only
so
one time?
Yeah.
No, only one way, rather. You only know how to come one way. Like, that's what I'm saying. Is there any other stimulation?
I'm a one and done kind of a guy. Not one and done, but there's only one. There's one way that
one way, that's it.
Yeah. Now, I may have some partners out there that have experienced different ways.
This is true. So you're right. Men can anally orgasm, but yeah, you're right. I understand I see what you're saying.
Okay.
But for women,
multiple ways.
Yes.
Yeah. So I definitely know that. I know women can come
orgasm.
All right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We said grown and sexy, right?
Yeah, that's not grown and sexy.
That's
orgasm.
Not the right term?
Yes.
Okay.
We're not gonna say coming.
All right.
That's when you get to X rated, right? We're keeping it R.
Is that what, okay.
A bit? We'll get into some. I said, the nitty gritty. We will.
We should have had a conversation on vocabulary before.
Oh boy.
So all right. So I do understand that women can orgasm multiple ways, and one of those ways is the vaginal orgasm, right? Which comes from just being inside the vagina and the vagina. And,
so
and
vaginal
stroking it,
orgasm, yes, it is a fingers, right? A sex toy. The pleasure comes from within the vaginal walls. So you want something that's going to be a little bit thicker. You're going to want to try maybe one finger first, and then just add additional fingers. You're going to try to stimulate like just right there in the walls.
But you see, but the way you're saying that, right? It sounds easy, but it's not that easy.
Well, if you have an orgasm,
I'm saying from a man's
vaginally,
perspective.
like that is one of the easiest and best ways to have an orgasm, because literally you orgasm from the in and out sensation and stimulation, and that's it. That's one of the easiest ways to have an orgasm. For me, that's a very hard way to have an orgasm.
I was about to say
I don't normally orgasm that way.
I was about to say
it takes a little bit more.
You said easy, and I'm like, in whose book?
If you are able to have an orgasm in that way, that is simple.
Okay.
You're every time you're having an orgasm, depending on the girth, right? How thick your finger, your toy, or your partner is, and the penetration, right? Find the rhythm. Once that rhythm is good, then you'll be able to go to your space.
Yeah. The other thing is the clitoral.
Clitoral is a little bit different, right? Clitoral, you could use your fingers, a toy, something of that sort, and you basically just stimulate the clit until you start to feel.
Until you climax.
Yeah, basically, yeah. You just it's basically applying pressure and doing this like repetitive motion. And once you find that feeling, then just go all the way with it. And then you'll feel it. You'll feel yourself. You'll feel the pleasure. You'll come to this intensity and explode.
So as a man, one of the things that we unfortunately use as education is pornography, right? So the way you just talked about it, making it seem very simple, as if you show up, you do these few things, and then you get to orgasm. But unfortunately, when as a kid, like my first experience to pornography, I think I was like 8, 9 years old, right? And you always got that cousin or that uncle that says, "Yo, come watch this," and you watch it, and then your mind's blown after that, and then you try that stuff, and then you never get it right.
Right.
Unless you have an actual conversation with a woman, which now, because of ego, as a man, we come in thinking it's funny as men, right? Because we'll come in no matter what it is. It could be sex, it could be work. No matter what it is, we'll show up like we've been doing that shit for years.
Like, I got this.
Yeah, like I got
I
don't need to ask no questions. Don't give me no instructions. Like I built these shelves. I built 30 of these shelves. Fuck those instructions.
I got this.
And that's ego, right? It's
Right.
always we're always trying to put our masculinity forward, and instead of saying, all right, every woman is different. Every woman is not gonna orgasm the same exact way. Every woman is doesn't feel the same way. So we got to be able to come to the table and have a conversation.
That's true.
And communicate, not as a conversation like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, but as a conversation of, it's not about me, right? It's about how can I please you? How can I make
How
you
can we make
get
this
there?
experience
Exactly.
better, right? Or pleasing for both of us? Because then if you're a male who's actually had some, really good sexual experiences, you've had these women where they've gone crazy or they've exploded, and you've just felt that, and that's an amazing connection. And then you have these other women and you don't feel that, and it's like, well, what is it, right? There's something else that you probably could have done, or something she could have done to herself. And another thing is that a lot of times us as women don't really know a lot, right? Just like you said, like even about our bodies, or that we can do certain things, or that certain things can happen. Even like with the clitoral orgasm, it's like you have to have some moisture, right? You have to rub up and down, side to side. You have to actually stimulate your clit. If you've never stimulated your clit, if you've never even thought to touch it, then you would never know that this is something that you can experience. This is something that all these orgasms, of course, right, you could experience on your own, but then when you add a partner to it, then it just makes it even more explosive.
Better.
There's also a cervical orgasm. A cervical orgasm is one that's done from deep penetration, right? You've got to actually feel pressure building like from the depth of inside of you. I'm saying like this is one of the best. I say from my experience, it's one of the best types of orgasms that you can experience. It's one that comes from really deep within inside. It's one that I feel my body just does. If there's a G spot, then it must be in that area. Yes, because it's like. You can even be touching me at all, and it will just explode, and that's amazing.
And that's the thing about women too, right? You just said sometimes you don't even need to touch, right? Mm-hmm. So for men, for most men, and I'm not saying all men because I don't want women to be throwing men, into the same category of the wind blows, you get turned on. Mm-hmm. It's not like that for everybody, right? True. Some men do need that mental stimulation. Some men are, especially if you're in the artistic world, right?
That's true.
It depends.
Very true.
It just depends on who you are. But for women, if you're not touching certain categories, then you can't open up that box.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And one thing I know for me, we've been able to have communication, and I think, to get to that point. And we talked about it's not about taking, it's about the give, right? It's giving and receive, fuck the taking.
Yeah.
And so we've been able to have those conversations, and I've been able to open up and say, hey, how does this feel? Is this working?
Yes.
And reading books and education, like all of that has helped as well. So in our library, we have different categories of books. We have autobiographies, we have
self-help,
African-American
spiritual
authors. African American authors. Danielle likes to say I call them ratchet.
Don't you dare!
you got some of those 99-cent books. You know what I mean? And then we have a book on sexual experiences. Right? We've been together for 17 years. And people always say going on 18 years. Yeah, this year be 18 years. And people will say, well, how do you do it? How do you do it is by give and receive. You know what I mean? So you have to educate yourself on your partner's sexual, being and how to achieve those goals.
Yes, definitely. You have to be open and definitely as a woman you have to be receptive to whatever it is. Another side note for cervical orgasms, it helps if you are doggy style because it's deep penetration and you will be able to feel it a little bit more. Just a side note before we get
just a side note. Now, knowing your body and knowing what position works best for you is another thing, right? Because I know as men you say doggy style, and as men that's the first thing we think of. Let me turn you around. But every woman that doesn't work.
Yeah, it's true because it may be too deep, right? They may not be able to take it, but that's different than an orgasm. So now we're talking about sex.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like because you said cervical, right? That's why.
Yeah. So but that's just like everybody's body's made up different, right? So then, they don't like it. If they don't like it, change positions, right? That's just it. It's just everybody's anatomy. Like, we all have the same anatomy, but it's different, right?
So having a conversation during sex, how important is that?
Definitely a lot of conversation needs to be said. Especially if it doesn't feel good. Like don't take something that doesn't feel good, right? Definitely say something. And then if at the end of it, there's supposed to be some kind of a pleasure that women and I am talking to, which I want to educate women about. There's this thing that can happen. The next question is like, why is this not happening to me? Or what can I do to make it happen? So other orgasms or other ways that women can have orgasm is through their nipples. And I know men have very sensitive nipples as well sometimes, but women can actually orgasm from their nipples. I'm not sure if men can or not. So that would be another way. So perhaps there's men who are very sensitive in their nipples. And one thing, like a way that you could try to do this is to squeeze your breasts, to circle your areola, to kind of caress the area, pinch your nipples. You have to explore, try different things, touch yourself. You want someone else to touch you first, right? Try you first. So I'm just try just kind of gently touching yourself in your breasts and caressing, and just see what happens. And
so I know for some women, they say, well, my machine is better than a man, and these things are, and that's, that also comes into now it's a battle, right?
Yeah.
And when you talk about the female orgasm, it's always like this battle of the sexes, and it's well, I got a vibrator that works better than dude, and then the dude says, well, I'll outlast your vibrator. It's again, it's always about ego. You know what I mean? And how do we kill our ego so that we can have an experience that we both enjoy? You know what I mean?
Well, shit. When it comes to sex and it's all about an orgasm, then if we're not all connected, and I think that's one of the biggest things about females and our orgasm is having that connection with our partner. If we don't have that connection with our partner, then it's going to be a way harder to orgasm. We're not going to be able to relax, enjoy sex as the body's supposed to, right? We won't be able to open up, and because of that, it will block a lot of pleasure that we should be having, right?
Now would you say that's a great point. Now, would you say is that majority of the reasons why it's so hard for female orgasm is because the female mind is going, right?
Nope. I will say from my experience and what I feel is that it's hard for a woman to orgasm because of education. They don't know, which is why I'm very proud to talk about this subject, because we're not taught that. We're not taught to play with ourselves. We're not taught to touch ourselves. We're taught that a lot of things are taboo, right? As women, you're not supposed to do this, and men look at you like, oh, women are supposed to hold themselves as here and there, and men can do whatever they want. So women, there's a select a few friends that you can talk to and be like, girl, I did this and this and that, and you can talk about the nasty, but that's what that's the nasty. You see, it's like, oh, it's nasty, and it's natural, and then if you like stuff that's considered nasty, then you're going to stay back, right? You're not even, you're having regular sex, right? Which like vanilla sex, and it's not turning you on, but you don't want to do
you want to explore.
Right. Because you're afraid of the taboo or what people will say about you or how they'll look at you. And then we're put in a box, right? And it shouldn't be that way.
So judgment at the end of the day is the reason why we can't really get to that point of pure ecstasy. Yeah. Now, how tight are women when it comes to having conversations like that? Because I know for dudes, it's very superficial. Like, when you talk about an orgasm, and even if we're talking about like, oh, you don't really talk about, oh, I made my wife orgasm last night. That's honestly, no dude really talks about that. Like, oh yeah, me and my wife last night. Now you'll talk about some chick that you met in the club or some chick you met in the bar.
So I'll tell you, married women are way more likely to talk about sex together, because I'm saying it's not a chore, but we say it like, oh yeah, well, like this is how we do the sex thing, right? We satisfy him here, or we satisfy him there, or we have sex every day, or we schedule it, or yeah. You know what I mean? Married women like a little bit different.
Women are like this. I got it like pop, done. It's more of let me give you a tip. That's crazy because I've seen it and I've heard it. Yeah. So let me give you a tip. Do this, do that at this time. That's it.
And then we're good. And then we're done. Right?
Guys don't give tips.
No. Yeah. And then, but listen. So I recently discovered women Viagra, right? So female Viagra. Now, whenever I say, hey, I have female or like woman Viagra, whatever, female Viagra, all the girls are like, what? Sign me up. What does it do? And it's like they just want to try it. It doesn't even matter. Like, let's do this.
And it's as interesting as it sounds, women are like, oh no, I heard you go blind from that.
Yeah, no.
Like nobody, like women are, and kind of back to some of the conversations we've had before on the podcast, how open women are and how historically speaking, women were the dominant sexual species, right? But then agriculture came around, and then that's how things changed, right? And control and all that stuff.
Crazy but true.
And just by this topic right here, just talking the way we're talking, as you said, married women talk about it, no problem. This is what it is. Yeah. We have these things in line. Happens on this day. This is the way it happens. No big deal. But then dudes are as superior as a man comes off, is so inferior on the inside, you know, and it's you don't want to, and I mean, because it comes from a territorial standpoint as well, you don't want to give out too much information about your woman.
That makes sense.
You become territorial, so it's like, well, why are you asking?
Yeah, I can
because
see
if
that.
I tell you, then you're gonna go home and think about this and that.
Yeah,
and it's not a sense of like, yo, I want to be able to have an open conversation because I want to do better. Like, we don't have those conversations, but women have those conversations all the time.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a teach one, reach one, and
Exactly.
sharing is caring type thing. You know what I mean? Like, no, girl.
And you know who a man goes to become better?
A woman.
Exactly. How many dudes would say, yo, like, they come to you.
True.
Like,
that's
you,
so
like,
true.
like some
That's
of our
so
closest
true.
friends will open up to you.
That's so
now,
true.
granted,
it's true.
my closest friends will open up to me just because I'm that kind of a guy.
Yeah,
yo,
definitely.
there's no judgment here. And there's, you know,
we're
we
just
open
not
up
like that. Yeah, it's true. It's very true, and we can have those conversations. It would definitely without judgment, and truthful, right? Because I think that's what matters. It's like some people, you know, they'll either, like, I don't know, they try to save your feelings, right? And it's like if you come to me and you ask me something, especially about a relationship, I'm not going to spare feelings. I'm just going to tell you what I feel and what's real, but to me, right? Another way that we can orgasm, going back to orgasm, is anal, right?
Women.
Women, yes.
I was saying, because you remember you asked me.
Yeah. So, lube is the clue for anal. And there's anal ease. And Anal Ease is actually a brand. Shout out to my girls that taught me and showed me what that is. They didn't show me, they taught me. Okay, they told me what it was. So we didn't practice Anal Ease on each other, but you know. So this is something that makes it a little, basically what it says, right? Anal a little easy. And I'm just saying it. If you are having any struggles or problems or issues or want to take your sexual pleasure to the next level, these are things you could do. You don't have to. I'm not saying this is amazing or this is that. This is just something that I'm suggesting that you may want to try. And in my experience, you should start slow. Even if you use Anal Ease, it may numb it a little bit, so you may not feel or you may not have as much as pain as you thought or you would, but in the morning you will feel some kind of pain. Just saying. Still take it easy, much like the having a vaginal orgasm. Start with one finger or a small toy, and then slowly build up, right? So insert another finger, and then perhaps a bigger toy. So you just kind of enlarge the toy.
So it's a part of the journey, right? As you grow to like it, then the journey continues on. Now, is it true that a female orgasm starts at a particular point of the day? Like, is it like an all day thing?
That's interesting. No, I don't know if I've heard of it being an all day thing. But one thing that I did learn in doing this podcast and researching is, and this is the thing that was real to me. I'm saying, but I didn't know it was real. This is an exercise induced orgasm. So,
like a workout.
Yep. And ladies, I have done kick-ass core workouts, and they call them coregasms, and this is real shit. And I've done a dope-ass core workout and been like, what the fuck is that? Like, so turned on. Like, I've been in the gym like, what is going on right now? And I never said anything to anyone, and I was today years old, as they say, when I found out that a coregasm is a thing. And shout out to my body for feeling it.
now, is that a particular workout, or was it?
Yeah,
just,
it's a core workout.
So just
hardcore.
core?
Yep, hardcore. Mostly like abdominally, like focused exercises. Cardio sometimes, even some good like weight training. Whatever like kind of stimulates that area. I mean, I've done mountain climbers, like bow, and afterwards I'm like, oh shit, what is that? Like,
feeling good.
So it's a thing. So look it up.
So it's not as hard. So female orgasm is not as hard. It's if you focus on it.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, my mind's not even on sex.
Yeah.
Like, it's my body. My body did this. And here's another thing, sleep induced, right? Like, I've had 2 that I can recall in my life. I've woke up, what is it called? Wet dreams for men, right? For women, it's just an orgasm during sleep, right? Because we don't actually we do. We'll talk about the female ejaculation soon, but it's just an orgasm that happened during sleep, right? You just wake up like, wow, that was amazing. Like, you try to go back to sleep. Let me go.
let me relive that.
Yes.
It's not happening.
Do you think that there's a orgasm gap? We've talked about that, right? So that's what we started. But why? Why are women, and I gave you all these different ways that women can have an orgasm. So why are we not having more orgasms? Why is there this gap?
Like you said, it's suppression. Like for the first part is suppression. The other part is stress. Like the things that women have to deal with from all different. Like if you're married, if you got kids, if you're single, right, if you're a professional, if you're an artist, like there's a lot of shit going through your head, right? Yeah. And the last thing that comes to mind is like, all right, now the pleasure component, right? Because it's a dog eat dog world, and as a woman, you're trying to get to a certain level of life that you feel comfortable at. So the last thing on your mind is that orgasm sometimes. Yeah,
that's true.
And I'm saying sometimes.
That's true.
But then you got some women that are like, yo, it's a part of my life, right? It's just like everything else, just like me being at the top of the food chain or climbing this corporate ladder or, having a pleasurable orgasm or healthy sexual lifestyle. It's just as important.
Their hierarchy is like food, sex, sleep.
Yeah. It just depends on what's important to you, right? And so the myth of female orgasm is just what it is. It's a myth that it takes forever because in reality, a female could come I said the wrong word again. A female orgasm. I hope the
edit that.
critics don't get me on this. But
don't be nasty.
But the female can orgasm just as quick as a man. Yeah. Like you could a female can orgasm 4 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever the case may be, just like a man can, if you hit those thresholds that you identified.
A female orgasm is longer than a male, right? The longest female orgasm is 51 seconds, and the longest male is 30 seconds. So that's our orgasms are intensified. And then it takes us a lot, it doesn't take us rather, it takes you all a lot longer to go through the, what is it called? The refractory stage? It's like when you, basically the rebuild, right? It's like the recovery. But yeah, we sometimes we can orgasm back to back to back. So that recovery stage isn't long for us at all. Sometimes men, it takes maybe minutes and sometimes even weeks, which I didn't know.
Weeks?
Yeah, that's a thing. It takes some minutes, just like after they orgasm once, they're good. And I know this to be true because again, I've heard women and they say like, I try my hardest to have sex with him and he doesn't. And I'm like, where are these men? I have no disrespect to these men, but yeah, there's men out there that they just don't want to have sex, and it's like that's just the way it is.
I never heard that, but I would say that's same thing probably too. It's probably all the different stresses of life, right? So, and it's one thing about living in the United States. If you travel, like you have to travel, like please travel. Because when you leave the United States, you'll realize the things that we coin as important here are not very important throughout the world.
This is true.
Right? That's why Europe has.
So true.
Yeah, Europe has the stamp for like being a very open sexual continent, right?
Right.
And because work is not the number one thing. Now, granted, motherfuckers been around a long time.
Truth.
We haven't been around that long.
That's true.
So, but then you look at other countries where sex is like, no, like it's not happening here. We're going to Bali in a couple of weeks, and they just passed the law you can't have sex out of wedlock. Yeah. So and that's because of religious reasons.
You go to jail, like what?
Exactly. So depending on where you are, and that's really how it comes down to the importance and the stresses of life, right?
True.
But if you control your own life and you do whatever that it is that is important to you and is fun and healthy, then that's what it's all about. As long as that shit's healthy, you know what I mean. At the end of the day, we had a conversation with someone and they said, they haven't had sex in over 20 years.
20 years,
and that
celibate.
and that's a choice,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Now, and if that is your choice and you practice that discipline, the reverse of that is someone who have sex every single day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, definitely.
And what's healthy to them, and how they're open and embrace things.
Right.
At the end of the day, we make our own choices. We're in this thing, and we got to be able to communicate and have a conversation. For someone to be able to tell us that, and they told both of us that, right? To be able to tell us that and be open and transparent, it was like, all right, that's pretty cool. To be open about your orgasm, to be open about how can I come, God damn
orgasm.
How can I orgasm? How can I orgasm more freely?
I feel like you're trying to do some other things.
More often. Well, today's my birthday, so I'm looking for a lot of birthday opportunities. But at the end of the day, I want everyone to take away from this. The value is, it's about giving and receiving, you know what I mean? And being open in your communication and being vulnerable in your communication, especially with your partner, like you don't know everything, and be okay with that.
It's very, very true. Very, very true. I cheers to that, baby. Cheers to that. Before I close out, I do definitely want to speak on and say something about the female ejaculation. Yes, it is a thing. Yes, it does happen. And if you've never seen it, there's plenty of pornos that will show you. Just saying. That's
I
one of the
suggest seeing it.
Yeah, it's one of the. I mean, like Tommy said in the beginning. One of the best teachers is, first for me is reading, right? So if I read, then it will open my mind because I have to actually imagine it, and my imagination goes deep. And once it's in my imagination, I'm totally turned on and turned into it. So there's that. But the female ejaculation, there's 10 to 54% of women actually have that ability to do it. It's a real thing. It's like a thick whitish fluid that comes out. It's not pee. People always say it's pee. It has a lot of the same elements as sperm, but it's not sperm, of course, right? But it's thick and it's different. It is different. It's one of those things that I think that some women understand and learn early on in age.
Be able to control it.
Yeah. And to be able to control it and be like, and make it happen is amazing. But to me, that's like complete control of your body and understanding and learning what it can do. But if you've never experienced any orgasm at all, please take the time to explore your body. Check out your erogenous zones. Did I say right, babe? Take a feather, perhaps, or something light. Bring it all throughout your body. Pay attention to those spaces and those places that make you like tickly, or it's highly sensitive. This is one of the things that we also done early on in our marriage, and we were able to experience okay, this is what you like, this is what you don't like. With every partner, explore, experience, and enjoy.
It's life and shit.
It's life and shit.
Do us a favor. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Leave a review. Let us know what your thoughts are. That's the only way that this show is going to be successful. And we appreciate you. Talk with you next time.